Hello, everyone. Welcome to the second episode of the Lightbox Café podcast. I'm your host, Griffin Station, and today we are talking about the end of the Ether storyline, Spec Ops Survival Mode's PlayStation exclusivity, Last of Us 2 impressions, the Promised Neverland's live-action film announcement, and the Disney-Sony deal which brought Spider-Man back to the MCU, as well as a lot of other stuff. Before we get started, though, let me introduce my three wonderful co-hosts, Kindred T, Fourth Guardian Juan, and Revel with Pio. How are y'all doing? Anything happened within the last week you want to specifically mention?
Stuff that I do want to mention is stuff that we're going to be getting into in a little bit, but, we've definitely explored, the new Zombies map, Togder Toten, this week, and that's something that's been exciting and many other conflicting emotions, but let the conversation handle that later.
Yeah, I don't know, I just mostly worked this week, so I don't really know. I mean, Spider-Man coming back to the MCU, I feel like that just happened so fast, I didn't even know what to make of it, so we'll talk about that later.
I honestly thought that they were just, lies and slander.
Right? It looked like clickbait.
I was like,
Yeah.
I don't believe this.
But it was real, and it was just like, oh.
Mm-hmm.
All of the titles had the same thing.
Yeah.
I mean, this is something I want to get into later, but did you see Tom Holland's Instagram post?
I did see it.
Yes.
See it. He posted the scene from Wolf of Wall Street where Leonardo DiCaprio's like, I'm not leaving.
I didn't.
I'm not leaving. We'll edit that out. But it's so good. It is amazing.
Yeah, it was great. And Juan,
Anyways.
anything exciting happened with you this week?
No, I had a lot of time to think about boots.
Yes, boots. Speaking of boots, I want to bring up the end of the Ether storyline.
Peter McCain?
Yes, Peter McCain. So, last week we recorded right before the map released. Now we have officially seen the ending. We actually beat the Easter egg. The first time we beat it, the game crashed. And then the second time, Kindred and I played it together, and we officially got to the end of the cutscene. What are your guys' thoughts about the ending, the wrapping up of this 10-year saga that's, I guess, been built up to this, even if the build-up might have not been what you expected? But what did you get out of it?
For me anyways, I feel like the ending was probably as good as they could have done, given the limitations that have been placed on the studio.
Quickly, I do want to mention that there will be spoilers about the ending, obviously, so continue. Sorry about the interruption.
No, you're totally fine. Going into spoiler territory, Richtofen was the one that was constantly keeping the cycle in play, and Monty sort of allowed him to do that because that allowed him to stay in existence. But Richtofen, breaking the cycle, learned that he would constantly keep them in this horrible loop. So he gives Nikolai the reins, so to speak, so he can do what must be done. And if that means taking out Primus and Ultimus, which obviously is what happens in the cutscene, that makes sense. I just, in terms of disappointment, I feel like it makes sense why the story went that way, but also it feels more like they were trying to build up to something throughout this whole season, from the launch maps all the way through Alpha Omega, with Monty becoming a bad guy and the Great War and all this stuff. And I know Nikolai has a passing quote about the greatest war is the war we have against ourselves or something, which I mean is very fair. It's a very fair and true point, and I'm pretty sure Nikolai, looking back, Nikolai probably said all that stuff to them to have them come along with him, because I'm sure that if he told them all the truth that they wouldn't. So he's probably like, yeah, we're fighting this guy, Dr. Monty. We're going to fight in this great war. Come fight with us. So that makes sense, but it just feels like it was subverting our expectations without... I don't know, it just doesn't necessarily feel like it fully paid off for me, but also because we lost some probably more character interactions and character growth from both Monty and the Shadow Man, who were primary antagonists in Black Ops 3.
Was there any content released in between these maps? Like, was there any fill-in content that we could have gleaned a little bit more out of? There was nothing, right?
You mean between
Between like Alpha Omega and
Alpha Omega and
Tiger Dome, there was nothing.
as far as I know, no.
Because I
it's
feel
not
like
like-
that would have
yeah.
like, if they like released anything to maybe fill in those gaps, I feel like that would have helped. Just to lead us in the right direction. Like say, oh, okay, this is actually where it's gonna head. Like really, really now.
Yeah.
Or kind of heavily hint that way rather than, leave us in suspense and then, because when you have an ending that isn't like, I don't think this ending was like what shouldn't have happened. Like this is definitely what they should have done. Like, this is what should be the end of this storyline, and it makes sense. But it was lackluster, and it was not a big payoff, like you said, and I feel like that's because they didn't like handle the lead up to that very well. When you have an ending like that, you need to really give it the emotional poignance that it should have.
Which is,
I just want to quickly mention, like if you compare like you would expect like the death of all of these characters, so like emotionally like it would emotionally affect you, especially if you're following the story since the beginning. But if you go back to like let's say Blood of the Dead, like I felt they sent off Richtofen in that map perfectly. And that was really emotionally gut wrenching. Whereas like in this map, it was just sort of like, okay, I guess they're dead.
Yeah, it was like a black screen, like everything turns black because they like are pulling everything into the dark ether, and then the next time we see the 8 of them, they're like 7 of them are dead. And like we're not even sure how they died. Like that's a big question right now.
I'm pretty sure it's been in some radios. It's confirmed that Richtofen poisoned them.
Okay, that's what I was thinking.
I meant Ultimus Richtofen, obviously. And so yeah, I do think I agree with what what you were saying earlier. I do think that this is how the story should have ended. I think that they did lack the lead up. They also did lack stuff like the in-between content, like the music video trailers that they would usually release. They stopped doing those after Dead of the Night because of budgetary issues. And so...
Yeah, I mean, if you look at, like, between Garad, Crovy, and Revelations, they had, like 4 different memory trailers, a Monty trailer. They had, like, 3 separate like Revelations trailers leading up to it, so we knew exactly what we were getting into when we got into that map. We really didn't feel that lead up here, and it's also like some of those choices going into this map feel a little weird because we're playing as Victus, and playing as Victus is fine, but like as a final map feels very weird. I enjoy playing as them in this map, don't get me wrong. Actually, out of all their appearances, this is probably my favorite map playing as them because I think they're genuinely funny, and I like the what's the word I'm looking for? Yes, interactions together. It feels very nice to hear that and to see their dynamics. But I don't necessarily think it was the best choice to have them as the final characters in the final map, just because, like, again, we do feel that disconnect when Ultimus and Primus die. If they would have flipped it and would have had Victus playable in DLC 3 and then after Ultimus and Primus playable in DLC 4, I feel like they could have done more to pay off what they do and then their eventual deaths.
Yeah. Imagine an 8-player final map. That would have been cool, but that's just never gonna happen. We also don't have 8 people, so that's okay,
I feel like they also would have had a hard time dealing with the bugs that would come from having 8 players.
Imagine the crash.
Well, when I say 8 players, I truly
understand.
meant what they did in Alpha Omega, where it's like 4 playable characters, but you can have a array of 8 different versions or whatever.
Yeah. One thing I did really like though about this ending, I actually felt more connected to the Ultimus and Primus characters at the very end when we were walking with Samantha and Eddie.
Agreed.
Because you actually get to hear what they're thinking. You don't ever hear them talk in the end cutscene, but you get to hear them talk finally in that final section, and so you do get that send off in a way. And you also get to see Eddie and Sam go lead into a life where they can at least try to flourish and not have to worry about, like, it's basically like they sacrifice themselves for the greater good, which the greater good are like the children of tomorrow represented in Sam and Eddie.
Presumably they're going into like the perfect world or something.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
I,
Yeah.
I feel with a lot of the things that we've learned about the entirety of the premise group, every moment of their past that we've learned from a lot of Black Ops 3 content, I felt like I feel like maybe myself personally, I carried that burden of what Nikolai or what Dempsey or Takia wanted, because they always wanted the right thing, but they also wanted their own happy ending. They wanted their own life to be in a way that zombies never happened. It was always the thing that they were looking for, but because of what Rick Toffin was looking to do, they weren't ever going to achieve that goal. And the way that they always felt very somber, they always felt very sad and kind of like this was their fault.
Yeah.
Though they never really had any real reason to believe that. I feel like this ending was like a nice culmination of the way that they felt, and it was a good send-off for them because, I mean, I feel like the things that they were wishing for at the end when you see Sam and Eddie walking off, I feel like that's probably the best way that their lives could have ended without having to interact with zombies. To be able to live out those kind of worlds where, I mean, Dempsey just being a soldier, he wasn't part of some weird experiment or anything, and everyone getting their own slice of happiness.
Yeah.
I feel like not only did they get that kind of send off, but they deserved it. It is sad to let go of the Ether storyline, but at the same time, I really feel that's what I wanted. I mean, maybe not what I deserved, but it is what I wanted.
Yeah.
Okay.
And in terms of, speaking of closure as well, I know I was ragging about how, like, we didn't get, like, more character moments from Monty or the Shadow Man, especially after Revelations, when I felt like so much was built up, especially with their wisps and all that. But I do like how at the end of the Easter egg we do get sort of a soft confirmation that, Shadow Man and Monty were best friends, and that Shadow Man fell into darkness seeking his own ambitions, and Monty tried everything to save his best friend and fell into that same corruption. Yeah, so yeah, it was just nice to have that confirmation that they were best friends at one point, and that Monty cared enough about him to try to pursue him no matter what depths he fell to. And I don't know. So in that aspect, we did get some character closure, but like it still feels a bit off to not hear anything from them since Revelations.
I do wish that we could have heard like something from like Monty or the Shadow Man in this map, because last time we heard from the Shadow Man was not Shadows of Evil, Blood of the Dead. But I am happy that they did basically come out. It wasn't like a big fight with Monty, because Monty wasn't truly evil. He's just another. He's much like Primus and Ultimus. He just wants to exist and to keep his existence, because if the multiverse ends and like the summoning key gets destroyed, like his existence is probably put in question. He doesn't know what's going to happen to himself, and so Monty's on the same journey as Primus, and so I really like that it didn't end up coming into this giant conflict in the end that led to like Monty being this true evil person. It was truly just people battling with themselves, like trying to be selfish and put themselves over the universe, but ultimately Nikolai is the person to break them out of that and realize that they need to be sacrificed to make sure that the rest of the universe is whole.
Yeah. I want to give this like a little tiny bit of like literary type analysis where like every map we've seen like since like Black Ops 3 pretty much,
Mhm.
until now, has had a boss fight. It's culminated in this like large, like end of the Easter egg boss fight. Some of which made
Mhm.
sense, some of which didn't.
Well, I mean,
There's
except
no-
for classified.
Right. We don't talk about that one. Like, this one didn't have a boss fight, and it was just this kind of grueling battle through, like, a literal hellish landscape where we have a, battle royale blackout type circle enclosing us.
Mhm.
And we're just... There's some soul box moments. There's some moments where we're just following the... What is that orb?
I always want to call it a lantern.
What is
It's
that?
the
The orbs are
seal
is
of
like
duality.
is like no what no the orb is as Apothicon blood, isn't it? Is it not?
Is it the
But-
Apothicon blood? Like, the orb is that?
I think so.
When the orbs moved around outside of it, but the seal of duality was what we were following at the
That's
end.
what,
of
like,
the-
it's holding the Apothicon.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, that's like what it's like its container more or less.
Mhm.
Yeah, but it's... I just want to mention how, like, the enclosing circle kind of also is a fitting analogy for their universes enclosing and kind of ending there.
Mhm. Yeah.
Mhm.
So, may or may not have been intentional. They probably just used that because that's a mechanic that exists in their program.
And also being entirely centered around apothicons.
That too, yeah. Like,
and,
literally.
and totally
figurative.
not 115 the elemental shard, which was
Mhm.
a blue shard of
There was, like,
energy
literally
material
like, maybe a metric ton of, like, 115
everywhere else
everywhere in the
facility.
map, and it just didn't matter.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Mm.
The other thing which is kind of cool with that is we do have all the 115 in this map, and a bunch of Wonderwalk weapons.
Yes.
Yeah.
So
Almost
that's
every one of the central ones. I would have liked to
Mhm.
see the microwave gun again, but that's
Really?
that's neither here nor there. I really liked it. Just
I would
because
have
of
liked to seen the
design.
scavenger, because that was a Call of the Dead gun.
Yeah, but it
I
wasn't
feel like they
like
tried to
not-
do a compromise with combining that with the Wonderwaff.
Yeah,
That's what I
true.
thought.
Oh,
Yeah.
I thought the Reaver was there to fulfill that purpose. Reaver does all the same thing,
Yeah.
especially
Yeah.
when you pack a punch it. You get the little monkey effect on it.
That is cool.
Mhm. Any final thoughts on this? Before we're still going to be talking about COD, but not specifically.
What do you think
zombies.
Treyarch's gonna do in the future with this? Not with this specifically, but
Or
with Black
Chaos.
Ops.
I hope that we get a continuation of the Chaos storyline, because I really liked where that left off.
Yeah, that ending really actually that ending made me invested in it.
Oh
whereas
yeah,
I
I'm
didn't
quite
really
invested
feel
now.
so
I quite like
before.
how they ended Ancient Evil.
Mm-hmm. So I don't want them to. I know there's rumors that they're doing a reboot of the Ether storyline. I really don't want that.
That'd be so dumb.
I would really, really just want them to continue the Chaos storyline.
That-
if
like-
if they ever did, I would hope they finally fulfill the wishes of making it a separate
Standalone
game.
zombies game.
Yeah, I would. That
They're
Yeah.
never gonna do that.
That's all I could ever hope for. I don't want them to restart Ether unless if they do that.
I don't think they're gonna do
Yeah.
that though. Like,
No.
they're never gonna put out a standalone zombies game.
But it's all I want.
Yeah, it's just not gonna happen, unfortunately.
Like, Spider-Man coming back into the MCU was like multitudes of times more likely than that, and it
That
did
felt
happen.
like a given.
But anyways,
Yes.
For
Contin-
one last thing
yes.
on the map, I do want to say, I really enjoy the concept of the Samantha like music box grenade things,
that is cool.
but
Yeah.
as long as it doesn't crash your game, it's cool. I think
Where's
that
the-
was a cool way to make her in the map without, you know.
Yeah,
Wish there was
Having a
further
playable-
progression of her being purified by using it,
Yeah.
Mhm.
because it didn't.
it was
didn't
not
really
very well
feel-
explained how that worked, but
I also just like that Samantha became important again in this game, because she
Yeah.
was like non-existent in Black Ops 3, so that was really nice. That she like sort of bookended the story as well.
Anyways,
Yes.
speaking of reboots, we got Modern Warfare coming out,
Mm-hmm.
and
We have Spec Ops, which Spec Ops is on every console, so you don't have to worry about that. But specifically the survival mode is only on PS4. And that's not
For a
going to be
year.
permanent, but it's for a year.
It's a little
Uh,
under a year, but it's pretty much a year. It's until October 1st, 2020 that it's going to be locked exclusive to the PS4.
Yes.
Man, that feels bad.
Mm-hmm. I play on PS4. We all play on PS4, so it doesn't
like,
affect us. But like, imagine this is my scenario. Imagine if Black Ops 4 launched with all of these, with all the zombies maps, except for Blood of the Dead. Like they're like, you still have zombies, but you're gonna have to wait a year for Blood of the Dead. Like,
Like, for no reason.
yeah, it's like, no, I would be upset with that. I would rather have the week exclusivity of
Even a
each new
month,
content.
honestly. A month is okay, you know?
Mhm. Well, I mean, Black Ops 4 only has a week, so like,
But like
I
a
don't-
year,
It's so
yeah, a
crippling.
year is so bad.
it's
Like-
it like almost doesn't feel like that's real, but it is. It's so
Mhm.
strange.
And I know that that is not Spec Ops only like mode, but like survival mode is like what I feel like people that play like zombies and stuff that don't really play multiplayer or campaign, like that's the thing that people go towards. And so if you're gonna make that exclusive to PS4, then what's the point of people that want that type of game mode that are gonna get it on Xbox One or PC?
Yeah, it defeats the purpose of the whole crossplay thing. Speaking
Mhm.
of which, I heard a rumor that this survival mode being exclusive to the PS4 was like Sony's condition, or like the deal that they made to have Modern Warfare be crossplay. So I know nothing about that really. I just kind of read something very quickly about that. What are your thoughts on that, Griffin?
That's really interesting because for the last couple of years, Sony has had a deal with Activision for Call of Duty, and so it would make sense that they would go with this if they couldn't get timed exclusivity for like specific like DLC launches. Because I definitely feel like as though this week exclusivity deal didn't really help PlayStation that much with this year's Call of Duty on Black Ops 4. So making an entire mode is definitely going to make more people want to get it on PS4 if they don't think they could play this mode for an entire year. So, I mean, I guess it's smart on PlayStation's side, but it's like, ooh, it's just not... I don't see this ending well for, like, Call of Duty or Modern Warfare or Activision.
I don't think anybody wins from this, because
Yeah.
if you look at the changing landscape of console gaming, including PC and that, the different consoles,
Mhm. Yes.
if crossplay is the new normal, then you're not
Mm.
going to be attracting people to buy your console because of specifically Call of Duty. Like part of why they had
Mhm.
that deal is to try to attract people to, play Call of Duty on PS4 rather than Xbox 360 or Xbox One rather. And
Mhm.
sure, that may have worked in the past, and it kind of did, but if it's all crossplay now, what you want to focus on more is like your exclusives, your PS4
Yes.
exclusives, your Xbox One exclusives, and really hammer that in. Like, for example, I feel like Switch is killing it with exclusives.
Mhm.
They're not really part of that whole like hardcore gamer crossplay thing right now, but they have had some great releases recently.
They've always
Mhm.
been chugging
They,
along.
since launch of the Switch, they've been killing it with the releases. They don't
Yeah.
have as much of the volume as all the other consoles do, but boy, are they chugging along with the ports. They're porting
Mhm.
a lot of games to the Switch, and it's really, really, it's attractive to them.
Yeah.
I feel like the
And-
only time that they dropped the ball when it came to keeping their exclusive, but like the only time they ever dropped the ball keeping their exclusives in line for a main console was the Wii U. There are a few that are really interesting, like Wonderful 101, and like I guess Splatoon, but there wasn't like a heavy lineup of stuff that they had that they were going to put there. I mean, this time the Switch is getting Pokemon, a mainline Pokemon, and maybe not as beautiful and gold and shiny as everything else like Pokemon, but Animal Crossing is being put on the
Mhm.
Switch. We had an entire console where there was no Animal Crossing. Wii U didn't get Animal Crossing, and that was sad.
Mhm.
Let me make an editor's note here. What Juan meant to say was they dropped the ball with the Wii U itself.
Yeah, I mean, true. Like a third of its entire library was ports.
If Smash 4 didn't exist for the Wii U,
There probably would not be that many.
nobody would have bought the Wii
Yeah,
U.
I wouldn't have bought the Wii U.
Yeah.
Nobody would have gotten it.
I still would have, because I'm a Beautiful Joe look-alike fan, and I will play.
But everyone else would
Wonderful
have played
101
Smash 4 on like the 3DS, you know?
Yeah.
Mhm. I would argue that there's better exclusives for the PlayStation Vita than there were for the Wii U.
I think that is very
Yeah.
easily argued.
Bayonetta is not important as much as I'd like to believe.
Yeah. Anyways, let's move on.
Mhm.
Last of Us
Yeah.
2, we finally got a release date. We got February 21st, is that right?
Yes, February
Yes.
21st, 2020.
Who's most excited for this?
Me.
I already ordered the collector's edition. I was going
That's
to order
fair.
the Ellie edition, but I went to sleep. I fell asleep basically right after I got home from classes, and then after I woke up, I'm like, oh, I forgot that this just came out. I'm gonna go pre-order the Ellie edition. After when I woke up from my nap, it was already sold out, and I was like, really? And so like you can only find them on like eBay for like $500 to $1,000, and I'm like, fine, I'll just get the collector's edition, and I won't get the vinyl record or the Ellie's backpack, but I'll
The
have to
fireworks
deal.
would be so cool.
But yeah, I'm super excited for Last of Us 2. I really like the trailer. I'm glad that we got more like gameplay and like got to see like what Ellie's journey going into the game is going to be. I mean, it was sort of predictable from the previous trailers, but like it gave more solid foundation. And I'm also excited to see Joel's involved somehow. I'm interested to see if that relationship is going to have some friction from the end of the original Last of Us.
Because, like, Ellie doesn't know what Joel did, right?
Yeah, she doesn't, because Joel lied at the very
yeah,
end.
exactly. She's gonna find out, right? Like, that has to happen.
There's no way that she doesn't, or that she hasn't within the 4
Okay,
or
so-
5 years since the game.
So you think she's found out? You think she already knows now?
From what I've read from statements from like the vice president of Naughty Dog, I have reason to believe. I don't have the comments in front of me, but it's something about how her relationship with Joel has been strained since then, and him sort of re-entering her life at this point is gonna shake things up.
I see.
A
So-
bit. Yeah.
So, other question: do you think the general populace knows about that whole thing?
No. No, I don't think. I think everybody basically doesn't even know that she even is immune.
Immune. Okay.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
everyone
Yeah,
thinks
she has
that
a
she's just
tattoo
normal.
over her. She has a tattoo over her bite mark now. So I think she's using that to hide the fact that she's ever been bitten, that she's immune.
Do you think that's going to be a main contention in the storyline?
From what I've read, he also said that that will come into play later with her and Dina, so and their relationship will be affected by that.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Very cool.
And and some backstory about her tattoo, really quickly. It was she basically like sprayed acid over her arm to make it a general scar versus just
A bite mark.
a bite mark, and then afterwards her girlfriend at the time, Kat, gave her a tattoo, but it's unclear whether or not she knew.
I see.
That's pretty
She knew
nice.
that she
That's
knew that she had a bite, or not.
I do want to mention, since we're on the topic of Last of Us 2, that it also has been confirmed within the last week that there's going to be no multiplayer. I know multiplayer isn't exactly the thing people think about when Last of Us is
No.
brought up.
Yeah, not at all.
But I know that there are a lot of fans of the multiplayer mode, and I guess Naughty Dog had been putting some development time into the multiplayer, but are now pushing it to a new game. That development time and that development process for that multiplayer mode, since they wanted to really revolutionize that that mode.
I was looking forward to that.
Yeah, I was actually interested to see how it played compared to the first one. How did you guys think?
I really
about
enjoyed
this?
the first one. I like,
Mhm.
it was weird, but I feel like the pace of the way the game played, the way Last of Us in general plays, made it like the tension would rise and build over the course of the game.
Yeah, because you have to build and make your like weapons
Yeah.
and stuff, and that's
Mhm.
really cool.
Yeah.
What do you think? Do you think they'd make like a battle royale game? Because I feel like those mechanics, with
That
battle royale
actu-
being that you go and search
Mhm.
for your items and all this stuff, do you think they would do a battle royale type game? Because I feel like that would kind of be cool.
That actually could have been.
It fits easily.
It fits super well.
It's
It fits like
Yeah.
yeah, that's actually a very good point. It actually is really similar to Battle Royale. Now that you mention it,
like I feel
except-
like if they're not developing that right now, they're kind of missing something.
Yeah.
yeah,
Let's just hope.
yeah. We'll see what happens. That actually makes me hopeful that they make like maybe like a Naughty Dog like
Like
No,
a
I think-
Naughty Dog All Stars battle royale or something.
yeah, something like that.
Han's
That'd
face
be
furrowed. You
interesting.
didn't see that, but
Going to anime, we have. I do quickly want to mention this. I don't think any of us have seen this series yet, although it's super popular right now. Demon Slayer. The last episode just recently aired, and for season 1, anyways. And they just confirmed that the continuation of this series will be in the next arc. The train arc is going to be a featured animated film. It's going to be in theaters. I am actually shocked by this. I'm curious. I'm actually really curious to get into the series because I've just been seeing so many people talk about it. But I'm really curious to see if this is how future anime like series are gonna go in terms of adapting future arcs. Like I don't know how long this train arc is, but apparently the arc all takes place on a train. So I assume it's not like a gigantically long arc, and so that's how it can also fit into a feature-length film without feeling too like constrained by the time limits. What do you guys think about this format in terms of instead of doing like even just seasonal? Because this is a seasonal anime.
I mean,
Like continuing to a film, then coming back to anime and
the main
season.
concern, my main concern with that would be, like you said, are they going to have enough time to fill in all of the content that is in that arc? And if they do, well, then that's probably, hopefully, a great format for that. It depends on. I feel like it depends on the anime. I mean, for example, Gundam Unicorn, when that was first releasing, it was releasing as not full feature length, but it was like hour-long OVAs, and it was originally releasing as six 1 hour long OVAs, but then they eventually ended up making that into a series anyway. And what we've seen a lot before, and rather than fully just adapting a full arc into a full feature-length film, rather than a serialized anime series, was taking this anime series and condensing it into feature-length films, and that also has like a lot of there's a lot of that could work really well, and that could not work really well at all, depending on what you're watching.
Well, we've seen a little bit of this before. Initial D had a few of these. There's I think two movies that are full arcs, and they fill in parts of the show. If you're watching the show in order from beginning to end, I forgot what the naming convention of it was, but it's like third lap or something. But certain parts of it are just straight up movies. So it's like the first season and the second season are a full 26 episodes long, and then there's a movie, another 26 episode run, and then a movie, and then the last 26 episode run. And then we're seeing that again. Well, maybe not the same, but Konosuba also has its movie coming up, or I think already out, where the first 2 seasons of it were an enjoyable show, and now there's an enjoyable movie.
One thing I do like about that form of adaptation is it makes the fact that they're making a movie a little more relevant. Like,
Yes.
Let's say, for example, Naruto, something that we all followed all the way through pretty much.
Mhm.
And they made like over 10 movies, and I watched a few of them kind of just because. But until those last two movies that were actually canon, actually part of the story, I didn't like at all care about those movies, like at all.
Yeah.
Yeah, they were literally filler, just
They
like
made
a
it just
journey
because.
that. Yeah.
And those were their main forms of. That was a really big form of them getting revenue. So
Yeah.
if future adaptations do films rather than anime series, and they actually gain a good amount of revenue from that, that's big for the anime community. That's game changing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree. Speaking of anime films, we have a live action adaptation of The Promised Neverland. Promised Neverland is another series that became extremely popular this year. It had its first season, and then after it's going to have its second season, I think starting next winter, so winter of 2020. And this live action film is going to be based off of the first season of the anime, the first, like, I want to say, like 30 or so chapters of the manga. And they've kept it pretty similar from the images and screenshots I've seen, but they're changing. I think Kindred and I are the only ones that have seen this here. Am I correct in stating that?
No, I've watched Promised
Okay.
Neverland.
Not
You
once
watched
have I
it?
seen it.
Okay,
So
so they changed the. I'll try to keep this as vague as possible, so Pio doesn't. Pio's, I like the surprise factor of this show. It's super great storytelling. They changed the shipment date or shipment age from 12 to 16, and so the characters are older. How do you guys feel about this? I can see why they did it, but at the same time, I feel like it undermines some of the intelligence the characters have. And it also alleviates some of the, I guess, danger the characters are in. If they're 16, they're more able-bodied than being 12-year-olds. What do you guys think?
I think
Well, you can go ahead, one.
I also think it kind of undermines their intelligence. They're extremely smart for 12-year-olds, but I think they should have a proportional growth. They have a dangerous amount of knowledge at their disposal, and like I can only see them growing like way smarter in that 4-year gap.
Mm-hmm.
And it kind of it makes it like it makes it weird for me because the understanding of like how they grew up and what made them develop this such knowledge, I feel like it's just a little harder to see them as amazing as they are.
Mm-hmm.
No, yeah, I agree. Having them be older, I definitely feel like... I mean, it's understandable why, because, they probably wanted to hire actors that weren't, like 10, 11, 12 years old. They probably went for actors that were honestly probably like 18 or something.
The actors' ages are the person playing Norman is 17, the person playing Emma is 19, and the person playing Ray is 13.
Okay. Well, I mean, for 2 out of 3 of them, obviously, they're older. I can see the appeal for them to change that detail, but definitely agree. I definitely agree. It does undermine like what the things they have to go through, what they have to learn, and like the trials that they have to face.
I also
I'm trying
feel
to stay as vague as possible.
Yes, I feel as though the characters are like they're able to slide under the radar more because they're younger. I feel like if they're like 16, like they're teenagers, so they could be up to something. Whereas like if they're 12, they could like still play off being like super innocent and stuff. And one other thing I do want to mention is that the kids, while they're at 12 years old, probably can't necessarily overpower an adult. While when they're 16, I feel like 16-year-olds are pretty physically similar to adults, potentially even stronger. and so I just feel like there's less of a threat as 16-year-olds rather than being the original 12-year-olds that they were in the original series, and they were still like the oldest of the group in the original series at 12 years old. I feel like it just doesn't work quite as well.
Also feel like they're nimbler. I mean, they from the image that you showed earlier, they do look to be still very small, but I feel like, as like the 12-year-olds in the show, they're way nimbler, and they're more. It's easier for them to get away and find hiding spots that are small and out of the way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree. Okay, so we are getting into our last segment. Let's quickly talk about Frozen 2 trailer release today. Not today, but a couple of days ago.
Yeah.
I know Kindred is the major proponent of this, so why don't you take it away, and maybe I'll add some stuff onto it.
With the latest release of this Frozen 2 trailer, we finally actually get what looks like plot details. It doesn't show all that much, but it shows that some sort of ancient magic that's from the Northlands has invaded Arendelle, and Elsa is the one that needs to go and investigate that because it's tied intrinsically with her powers, and it looks like we're going to be finding out a bit about where she got her powers from, which I know is a pretty big criticism of the original because people were sort of upset that we didn't really know where or why she has the powers that she has. So I'm looking forward to seeing more about her origins, why she has the abilities that she does. But really beyond that, this trailer doesn't show all that much. We see a few new characters. But we don't even get any hints of any of the songs that are going to be in the movie. So they're still playing things close to their chest. So it's just going to be interesting to see what they're going to be showing come November 22nd.
Yeah, I'm curious that we didn't even get even a snippet of one of the songs because they've already shown off two of the songs at D23. So
Yeah.
I was expecting to at least hear one of them, either Into the Unknown or the group song. I'm forgetting the name of it right now.
Things Never Change or something
Yeah,
like
Things
that?
Never Change. I think Things Don't Change. It's something
Some
like
things
that.
never change.
Some Things Never Change. I think that's the name. And I am glad that we got actual story stuff. We got to see that little gecko lizard thing.
It's a salamander. But
The
yes.
salamander, yes. And we actually got to see the new characters. I'm sure that one guy is gonna be evil.
Mateus, voiced by
yeah.
Sterling K. Brown.
Yes, voiced by Sterling K. Brown. I'm sure he's going to be evil because it just seems like he's going to be evil. That's just the feeling I get.
Yeah.
But I'm really curious to finally listen to one of the songs because I heard that they're good, and I'm sure that they're good because they're from the same people that made the original Frozen songs. But I want to hear it, and I'm like, why are you? The movie comes out in less than 2 months. Release something.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I'm sure, given how much promotion Into the Unknown has gotten at D23 and being the name of their documentary that they're releasing on Disney Plus, I'm sure we'll probably see something from that number.
Yes.
But yeah, it's just a waiting game now, I suppose.
Yes, and speaking of waiting for stuff, Love, Death, and Robots, Pio, you're waiting for this.
I think Juan and I are quite excited for this.
Oh, yes.
Love, Death, and Robots is a Netflix series, and it is not a very traditional series. The first season had 18 episodes, each of which were anywhere from 6 to about 18 minutes long, and they were all standalone animated short films. And they're all kind of outstanding, and they all talk about different topics from sci-fi to comedy to horror even, and it was really refreshing to see something really cool like that. Something like that could so easily be on YouTube, as each of those, episodes independently could be on YouTube, but having it in a series like that where none of them really have anything to do with each other, but producing a really cool series of short films, each of which has their own animators and writers, So they're not all connected, but each episode is such a gem, you know. So I'm really excited for season 2.
Yeah, the creativity on display in the first season was amazing. Being able to see like different comedy beats in between episodes, seeing like just general ideas that were fleshed out, like something that you'd offhandedly think that might be funny, but fully fleshed out into something amazing. Even some things that are just downright terrifying are also prominent there.
Yeah, some great episodes from season 1 were Zima Blue,
Oh God, Seema
which
Blue
deals with this
makes me cry.
artist who, at the very end, reveals he's not who he reveals he is. Or he's not who you
Think he is.
think he is.
Who
And
everyone says he is.
He's not. It's kind of like a Banksy type thing, where everybody knows this artist, name, all of their work, but really who they are is kind of a mystery type thing. And at the very end of the episode, you get this really poignant release of like, you know, you find out it's a big payoff. You find out who he is, what his
Dreams are.
dreams,
Yeah.
and what his history is. And
Yeah.
So it's unexpected, but also so emotionally like charged. It was great,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
So yeah, season 2 of that's coming out. Can't really predict
Yes.
what that's gonna be. It's probably gonna be something cool.
It'll be everywhere. Season 1 was so
yeah.
everywhere. It's all I can ever hope for.
One thing I actually do want to bring up before we go into the Spider-Man talk. It's something that I just remembered about, and it's that Kevin Feige, he's the head of Marvel Studios, has been confirmed to be creating a new Star Wars film, and
Not
what
Rise
I'm
of Skywalker.
not Rise of Skywalker. He's going to be making his own Star Wars film, along with Kathleen Kennedy, who's currently the head of the Star Wars franchise. And
Is that a trilogy
I'm really,
or a standalone
I think
film?
right
like
now it's just a
solo?
standalone film. And I'm really curious about this because I know Kevin Feige is a huge Star Wars fan. I believe his two favorite franchises are Star Trek and Star Wars. So seeing like what he's done with all of the Marvel movies, and then after like being able to bring something like that to Star Wars is really interesting. There's also been a rumor going around about this, however, that Brie Larson could be starring in that movie. And then after like the news came out about Feige doing that, and with Brie Larson being like rumored, she goes on Twitter and tweets, "Did someone say Star Wars?" or something like that, with her like in like one of the like Luke or Luke's robe from episode 8, and like holding a lightsaber, and I'm just like, okay, is this actually happening right now? What are you guys' thoughts on this?
I mean that's cool, I guess.
Mhm.
Actually, Brie Larson is like a super talented
Mhm.
actor. She is really, really good at everything she does.
Mm-hmm.
So, I just hope she doesn't get typecasted into like the female action hero.
Yeah,
Yeah.
She does.
although I
she's
do
good
really
at
want
it.
to, yeah,
But
I do really want to see her as Samus.
That'd be cool.
Yeah.
And I know she loves Metroid as well.
See, you know, adding that in, that makes a
Yes.
difference. That's cool.
Yes. Yeah, she last Halloween, I believe she was Samus.
That's kind of
Yeah.
funny. We should pull up a picture for that.
Yeah, she was Samus. Somebody asked her if she would play Samus after she's like, yes, like 100%. Yeah, she loves Metroid.
That's
So,
cool. Anyways,
I'd be down
Peter
for it.
Parker, you got something for me?
Yep. Yeah. Handing off the right in the MCU.
Yeah, speaking of Kevin
Spider-Man's
Feige,
back. Yeah. He's back. Well, I mean, he never really left. If these deals never came on the internet, we would have never known that anything was different. We would have just gotten an announcement that Spider-Man's third film would be coming out on July 16th, 2021.
That's
instead
canon
of
now. That's what's canon. Is
Yes.
that we never heard about
Yes.
it. It never happened.
Yes.
The world's
Nothing.
canon.
Spider-Man never. It's not like we haven't even had a comic book movie film between Far From Home and now. Like Joker hasn't released yet. Like not even a DC film has released between now and the last Spider-Man film. So
Not even an
Spider-Man has
animated
never left. There's been no MCU content except for maybe some TV shows that I haven't watched.
Shade.
I mean, I honestly don't know if there's anything that's come
I don't
out
think
within
so.
the last
It was like
2
a month.
months.
Was it 2
Yeah.
months? I don't think it was 2 months.
It's Far From Home came out beginning of July.
No. I mean,
The
since the
announcement.
announcement of Spider-Man.
Oh yeah.
leaving MCU.
No. Yeah, that came out about a month ago, August 20th, I think it was. So, a little over a month. But yeah, Spider-Man never left. So I see people saying Spider-Man's back. I'm like, he never left. It was just like deals were ongoing, and
Like,
then after
narratively.
deals were
Yeah.
yes. So Spider-Man is officially going to stay in the MCU. I think that's what it should be stated, at least for a film, and then after for a future Marvel film. So he'll appear in a future Marvel film sometime down the line. What film do you guys think he'll appear in?
Probably a Young Avengers.
I mean, it's hard to say because we don't know any film past 2021.
Yeah.
Yes, but they're introducing Kamala Khan. You know,
I mean, they have her TV
uh,
show though.
Yes, but she's confirmed to cross over into
Yes.
into
Film.
movies, as well as what's her name
She-Hulk? Or
well, yes, She-Hulk, but Kate Bishop.
oh yeah.
Yeah, you know, another Young Avenger. It looks like that's what they're building up to in Spider-Man. I can definitely see being the leader of that sort of
Yeah.
group.
A guest appearance in Loki as a transformation.
Something really interesting about Kevin Feige's statements about Spider-Man staying in the MCU is the fact that Spider-Man will be able to hop between universes. That's not the exact quote, but it's pretty similar.
Does that mean what does that mean?
I think it means that Spider-Man can now also appear in like Venom movies and like whatever Sony
understand.
movies.
Like the
Sony
Silver Sable and
that movie's. I don't think that movie's being made anymore.
oh.
Oh.
But yeah, the Black Cloud and Silver Sable movie isn't being made, from my understanding.
So
I
part
could
of the
be wrong
deal
with
is Sony's like, hey, we're gonna also be in the MCU, but not really.
Yeah, I think they're going, even though they debunked the multiverse in well, they didn't debunk it, but they threw it away in Far From Home. I think they're going to have to bring it back, so it makes sense
Well,
that Spider-Man can be.
I disagree
in
with
both.
that. I disagree with that they threw it away because it wasn't necessarily that they said that the multiverse didn't exist, just that Quentin Beck didn't come from the multiverse. Because I mean, in Doctor Strange, we were that was when it was confirmed that
Yeah.
the multiverse exists, and after obviously the next Doctor Strange movie literally has in the title "and the madness of the multiverse."
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean that makes sense.
I mean, like they sort of threw away the concept in the Spider-Man films, which I feel like could have been they could have just set it up in Spider-Man Far From Home.
But do you know
Like
what
that-
movie Spider-Man 3 comes out right after?
Yes, it
Doctor
comes out right
Strange.
after Doctor Strange.
Do we have a title for Spider-Man 3?
No, it's just Spider-Man 3 right now. It's not going to be homeless, at least. I assume it's not going to be.
Homecoming.
But,
Far From Home. Homeless.
homeless.
Does that mean we're gonna get a live-action reenactment of the Spider-Man meme where he's pointing at himself?
Potentially.
I mean, we
You
got
had
it
the
in
animated one.
Spider-Verse,
That was nice.
Yes, we did.
and we also got it in the Spider-Man Insomniac game. That was a great
Yes.
moment. Did you
Um,
two play that game?
Yes, I did.
Yes,
You know
we-
Yuri Lowenthal's really proud of that.
Mm-hmm.
he should
Yes.
be.
His image on Twitter is Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Or his profile picture.
Yeah, his profile picture's still Spider-Man.
Wait, he's Peter?
Yeah.
Excuse me?
Yeah.
I mean, that makes sense. I just didn't think about it because he did such a good job.
I know.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
So something I do specifically want to mention about this deal. So they went up from Disney was originally getting 5% of first dollar box office. Now they're getting 25%. When Disney initially went into the deal, they were asking for 30%, and then when Sony wasn't giving it to them or weren't answering their like questions about like renewing the deal, they're like, okay, give us 50. And after Sony's like, no, we'll do 20. And so I always thought that they would, and after they eventually went to Disney 30, Sony 20, and then after I'm like, okay, they're going to go to 25, and they did. But the other thing that changed within this last couple of days with Sony and Disney is that Disney has given Sony access to streaming all of their cable networks on PlayStation Vue, such as ABC and ESPN. This is a really big deal, I feel, for PlayStation Vue. Will get a lot more people interested in subscribing to PlayStation Vue, especially if they're looking to cut cable, but don't necessarily want to cut live access to stuff, like live access to news and stuff and
Yeah,
sports.
news and sports.
Should have tossed Hulu that way too.
Like, news and sports hasn't really made the transition to the whole streaming, you know?
Mm-hmm.
It's where...
They've done the reverse. They've attempted to take streaming stuff onto the...
I know, it's weird. But, you know, it's like the last great bastion of cable networks. And PSA, PO service announcement. If you're still paying for cable, let me just ask you this. Why? And just, like, if you get if you get Netflix and Hulu and Disney Plus, you're still paying less than you would with, like,
Get
cable
extended
network.
Hulu at that point.
You
You get a lot of live channels
Yeah.
through Hulu already.
It's, yeah,
like,
exactly. It's so... Anyways.
It's like $60. And you have...
I've tried to convince my mom just to get off cable, and like told her literally that it doesn't convince her.
You know,
She's mainly worried about her like live TV sort of thing, like America's Got Talent and Bachelor.
What channels
like
are those
that.
on?
ABC,
God.
I think.
That's on Hulu Live.
Okay, then there you go.
Yeah, but she's.
You know, my
I
parents
don't know.
would never stop paying for basic cable, literally just because every 7 o'clock, every weeknight at 7 p.m., they are tuned into Jeopardy. Every single night. Every night. Every single night, without fail.
There's only one thing falling through the grate is Comedy Central doesn't seem to be on Hulu Live.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Everything from Comedy Central used to be on Netflix, and now it's not really.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But don't worry, you can constantly be watching South Park online because I don't know exactly why, but they have like free South Park everything on it's like watchsouthpark.com.
It's probably just because of them creators. They're probably like, hey, just watch this shit.
You can watch up to a week prior to the most recent episode.
It's like Crunchyroll. It's cool.
Yeah, it's really nice.
Something I do quickly want to mention before we wrap up, it's something about Spider-Man again, that this will be the first year in 2021, that Marvel Studios will not only produce 4 films, they will also be making 4 television shows. And it's not like the Marvel Television making television shows while Marvel Studios is making films. Like, it's all Marvel Studios making the television shows as well as the films. And so that's 8 different pieces of content. I don't know how they're going to do it, and I don't know how Kevin Feige's going to do it, especially with Star Wars coming up that he's going to be making as well. We'll see how they handle it. What do you guys... Quick thoughts before we wrap up.
So you think, more of a question, do you think then that these TV shows are actually going to be more important to the larger MCU storyline?
Yes.
Yes, it's already confirmed.
They're specifically going to tie in directly into the films. Characters from the TV shows that starred in the TV shows will come into the films, vice versa. Like the Loki TV series, we have the WandaVision TV series.
Mm-hmm.
WandaVision connects directly to Doctor
Strange. That's been confirmed. Because Wanda's in Doctor Strange, and so whatever happens in WandaVision will directly lead into Doctor Strange in the Madness of the Multiverse.
That's cool. That just shows we're really in a multimedia world.
Mm-hmm.
It's cool. I
Just
like
waiting
it.
for them to finish making the Artemis Fowl movie.
They're not going to do that one.
They have. They've been working on
Yeah, it's coming out next year, I believe.
it. Yeah.
After they delayed it from this August.
Yeah, it was supposed to come out last month. They delayed it. Anyways, thank you all so much for coming out and listening to this podcast. We had a lot of topics to discuss today, but I think we did well to discuss most of them. Any last thoughts from any of you? What you're excited? Anything that you're planning on playing in the next week or so? I've been playing a lot of Code Vein, and that's being uploaded to the channel.
I'm excited to start playing some Code Vein as well. I just downloaded it, so I'm gonna jump into that create a character system and do that. And really, this next week is sort of a blank slate. Besides some of my personal work life stuff, I don't really know. So we'll see where that comes next week.
Yeah, hopefully I get to purchasing Code Vein soon. Looks amazing. I love Dark Souls. Juan and I play a lot of Dark Souls. We've even recorded some. We just never have done anything with it. But yeah, I'm excited to play Code Vein. I'd love to do some Let's Plays of doing some multiplayer. Thanks, Griffin, for uploading your LP to our channel. And if you're watching right now, still, please make sure to watch our LPs. First episode of Griffin's Code Vein LP is literally all character creation. So if you're someone who's into that,
Yes.
it literally took Griffin 30 minutes to finish his character creation. And that's probably on the conservative side of, like, character creation, because there's so much you can do
There's
in
a
this
lot
game.
there.
It was about 45 minutes-ish, but I cut out some
Yeah.
stuff.
Yeah. Anyways, very excited for that game. Yeah.
Look forward to us ironing out our Let's Play lineup, and sometime in the future,
If
get
you have
some
any,
together.
if you, the viewer, have any ideas on what we should be playing and recording and streaming and doing Let's Plays of, please let us know in the comments. Make sure to like, subscribe, and share.
Don't leave 5 comments all saying Billy Hatcher, though, because that's already on the list.
Yes, thank you so much for listening to the episode 2 of Lightbox Cafe podcast. This is Griffin Station, your host, along with my other 3 wonderful co-hosts. We are signing out. Thank you so much, and we will catch you all in the next podcast. Bye.